Hello, hi, my name is Jared, aka Prosperity42, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Walking and Talking, wherein myself and some other huge Blizzard nerd are going to do a little bit of walking and a whole lot of talking. I'm joined again today by the industrious Whoop for another discussion. There he is. He's facing the wrong way.
Hi.
It's his first day on the
I've
job.
never done this before.
Totally not 7 episodes in or anything like that.
No.
But this week, we're talking about gear distribution in Battle for Azeroth. And to be honest, this is probably the weirdest topic that we've seen. Probably the most divisive topic that we've had yet. So let's just jump into it, you know?
Let's just do it. Let's just go.
Let's do some walking and talking about this topic. So we all know, at least we as in people that have been, looking at all the stuff for Battle for Azeroth and following the news and all this other stuff. Basically, anyone that's been on any like MMO Champion or Wowhead, any of those sites, if you've been there, you know that they have dropped the number of bonus roll tokens that we'll have in Battle for Azeroth from at least per week. We'll only have 2 instead of 3. And the total that we can hold on to is dropped to 5 from 6. And I'm curious, why did they drop the number of bonus roll tokens when we're only losing about 2 or 3 specific item slots?
Yeah.
In the gearing process.
And it's weird because it's one of them changes that was made, and there hasn't been any dev input about it at all as to why it was done or anything behind the scenes numbers or anything. Right. Literally nothing. So it's hard.
It's and like I said, we're only losing 2 or 3 gear slots depending on what your spec is, like what weapons you're going to be looking for,
relics and that kind of thing.
All that kind of stuff. Like we're losing the 3 relic slots and the next slot because that obviously will have the Heart of Azeroth, we don't have to worry about that. So losing 4 total, but gaining 1 or 2 depending on if you are a class and spec that uses a 2-handed weapon or if you use 2 one-handed implements. So that's really the most confusing part about all of this is why are they doing that?
I can't think of any real reasons why they would do it other than if they increase the chances of getting something from a coin to say, I don't know what the percentage is now, but say they up it to 50% or something.
Right.
And then you have 2 chances at 50-50. That's literally 1 in 2. That's the odds that you're going to get something. So from one of those coins, statistically, you're going to get something.
Well, and that's something that but does it though? Because
it makes
right
sense
now,
from a percentage standpoint. It doesn't make any common sense.
Right.
But it makes sense if that's the case behind the scenes.
I guess. But at the same time, when was the last time you actually got a piece of loot from a bonus roll?
It's rare,
because
most of the time
theoretically, if we're just going on that argument of viable options of things to receive from a bonus roll, you got gold, you got artifact power, and you got a piece of loot. Those are the 3 options, and if it is a 3-on-3 split, then you would expect that a whole third of your tokens would produce a piece of gear, but that's not the case. We don't have that currently. So is that going to be implemented going forward? Are we going to see these bonus rolls give us a 33.333 repeating, of course, chance to get a piece of loot with every single one of them? And that if that's the case, then this change makes a little bit more sense, but that's not the case.
We don't know if that's the case because they haven't said either way. But if it ultimately ends up where we have less actual coin flips per week, but they are more lucrative, I'm for. Just because, I mean, even when you get artifact power, especially towards the end of the expansion and in gold, it's nothing. It's like 50 gold or something. Like,
Right.
if it was more gold or more artifact power,
like 1,000 gold.
yeah, like
make it
give me-
something substantial.
yeah.
Like
So that
cover my repair costs for raiding for the night.
Or
with
even,
these
you know,
tokens.
if you use the option to buy the coins with gold, maybe make it so that one coin flip of gold gives you that. It pays for
Right.
your coins for the next week. You know what I mean? That kind of thing would be really appreciated.
Right. At the very least, it would be very appreciated, and it would leave it to where you wouldn't really be able to exploit it, because if you have like a solid, like, this is this costs 1k gold, but the next one costs 5k gold, but you only get 1k back, you don't have a net gain there.
Right.
So if that's their fear, they can do some math and determine that's not going to be the case. But
I don't know if anyone at Blizzard knows how to do math, to be honest.
I mean,
it's
someone.
maybe.
I think maybe they might have like an intern shoved in a closet somewhere that they just have. They just gave them a Texas Instruments calculator and just said, make it work.
Make it work. Figure it out.
We have full confidence in you. That, all joking aside, there is kind of and this is the thing about bonus roll tokens. We've never had even an inkling as to what maths go on behind the scenes, under the hood, whatever you want to call it. We have no idea. We've never had an idea of any of that. It's just been, this is how it works. You can either get a piece of loot or you don't, and we've just kind of generally accepted that. But I would be interested if this is going to be the first time that we see some sort of like a developer point of view on a change like this, because we've never gotten one.
Yeah,
historically.
And to come back to my first point, I would love just to see some type of, even if it's just a little tweet somewhere about this change and the reasoning and thought process behind it. It would shed a lot of light on it.
Just an Ian Hazakostas bathroom tweet TM.
Bathroom tweet TM.
Brought to you by Josh Allen's fantastic hair. Anyways, there is a more I guess is probably the more divisive of the subtopics of loot distribution, but Master Looter is not going to be a thing.
Yeah.
It isn't. It is going away. Everything is going to be personal loot forever. And if you look at the changes to that they've made to the bonus loot system going forward into Battle for Azeroth, this change makes even less sense, and it makes the choice to lower the amount of bonus roll tokens that you can have make even less sense in and of itself. So why is the question.
The answer that Ian gave, and it's like the official Blizzard answer, is just for consistency's sake, because everywhere else in the game is personal loot. The only place that you don't see personal loot anymore in Legion is when you are raiding using Master Loot. Oh, this is a horde place. How do we
divert? You're the direction. I don't have a map.
That's true. We can just go the long way, going off road. But that's the Blizzard reason. To make it consistent. Blizzard TM. Which I agree. I mean, consistency is good.
Yeah.
And I mean, in almost any case, more consistency is
to be
better.
fair, this isn't homogenization. This is a consistency change, and I agree with their philosophy on that point.
Yeah, there's a difference between homogenization of like classes and consistency of systems throughout the game.
Right. And this is that's a point of contention for a lot of people, is like, well, you're just homogenizing the game. No, you're not homogenizing the game. You're making it consistent, and that I like. I agree with that. What I don't agree with is Master Loot's been a system that's been in place. It's been used. It's been utilized. It's been abused by countless players, countless guild leaders that just whatever reason that they have, whatever justification they want to have, that they want to give themselves to game a system like Master Looter, or Loot Council, or whatever way that you've had loot be abused in the past. It makes sense for them to make this change, specifically to combat stuff like that, because they don't have a way with Master Looter as a system. They don't have a way to police how gear is distributed, and it's kind of always been like it's always been like an unspoken contract, so to speak. Also, the it's always been like an unspoken contract of like, you are on a raid team. It's expected that you're gonna work out how the loot is distributed amongst yourselves, and that's that.
Right. I mean, how many loot systems that guilds have made? I mean, you got DKP, you got like EPGP, you got just Need versus Greed, you got all kinds of systems that have been made by the players because there isn't a consistent way to dole out loot in game. And I think that's what they're trying to do, is just they came up with personal loot however many expansions ago it was, and it's like, okay, we're just going to convert the whole game to personal loot so that when you kill something, you loot it and you get something that is yours, and that's the end of it. I mean, I think the main issue that a lot of players and guilds are having with this is that, you can't strategically gear up, say, your tanks first.
Right.
Or any character for that matter. You can't strategically give gear, to any one player or any one role anymore with Master Looter gone. Then that's the main change. And, like you said, I understand that they changed it because you have people that are abusing it, where, a guy might have a guild and a raid team just to get himself gear.
Right.
And none of the unawares to all the other raid, members. We did need to go the other way though, to get back into the other zone. Anyway,
that's all good.
We're just gonna do 180.
All right.
So just literally 180. But I mean, so that makes sense. But at the same time, I mean, it's obvious why people would be upset that they can't strategically give gear to who they wanted.
Right.
Even if statistically with personal loot, there's more items that your whole raid gets overall.
Yeah.
It's still the principle of being able to choose who gets gear versus having the game choose who gets gear is that's the main upsetting point.
Yeah. And there isn't really arguing with that, because it's that's always going to be a point of contention. Like, if you have a system in place for so long that people grow accustomed to it, it's an accepted thing. Like, if you want personal loot, you go in LFR, and pretty much the only time that personal loot has become commonplace in the past 6 years outside of LFR and all these other places is for pug groups. Like, in the pug world, the pickup group world, for the uninitiated, if you go into a group of random people and step foot into a raid, you're going to be going into personal loot. As soon as you get a piece of loot, everyone in the raid group is going to whisper you and ask you if you need it. You will ignore them, and that's how it's going to work. And I think that's probably the other big point of contention for a lot of players is they don't want that to be it presents challenges in a way for existing raid teams, because you get to a point where you don't want a particular piece of gear, because there is, with personal loot, you have no control over which pieces. You don't have any control over the pieces of loot that drop, right?
Right.
But say there are 2 different versions of gloves that drop off of a boss, off of one particular boss, but the person that wants the stats off of one of them doesn't get the one that he wants the stats, those particular stats from, but someone else does get those gloves. But both of those players have a lower item level piece of gear currently equipped for those pieces. They can't trade them.
Right.
With
just
personally.
just trying to make it so that if you get an upgrade, you can't give it to somebody else. That's your upgrade.
Yes. Whether
and I mean,
it is an actual upgrade or not.
Yeah, because I mean, in BFA, we'll have to see how secondary stats and stuff work out with
Right.
gear. Kind of like in previous episode, previously on.
Walking and talking.
But we'll have to see how that works out to see if it truly is where you get an item upgrade and it is an upgrade you want to put on. I mean, that should be fine, because if you get an upgrade, I mean, sure, I mean that's your upgrade.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can see it from both sides as well, where if someone else needs it more than you, maybe the difference in item level is more. Then I can definitely understand that here as well.
Yeah. I mean, but the other side of that coin is, the other argument is, why isn't that person going and completing the content to fill in the gaps in their own
Right.
gear? But, you could also say, why is that necessary? Why is it necessary to have a loot system that, completely disregards... these people are just going to keep coming. That was a heal. Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
But yeah, it's a messy topic. There's never going to be a good solution to any of this, because there honestly isn't. Like you have a gear system that rewards players that grind. And that's exactly what personal loot is. It's a system that rewards people going and repeatedly doing the same content over and over again, in order to find specific pieces of gear. And that brings us to the last topic that we're going to discuss on this episode, is with personal loot being the standard. Should we see a more concrete, quote-unquote, bad luck protection system like Valor Points be re-implemented?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, 1,000%, yes. That should be something that is on the table for Blizzard. We should not have to completely rely on nothing but RNG to get pieces of gear.
Yeah.
And that's to say, there are a lot of things that we don't know about Battle for Azeroth. We don't know what the reward structure for war games or whatever. Warfronts, that's it. We don't know what the reward structure for Warfronts is going to look like. We don't know if we're going to be getting pieces of gear that are going to be actual upgrades or if it's just going to all be cosmetic stuff. We don't know if we're going to be getting real tangible upgrades from World Quest content, if that's going to be something, or if it's going to be something more similar to the way that World Quest and Legion work. And we don't know what changes they're going to be making to how loot in Mythic Plus happens either, because let's be honest, gearing through Mythic Plus is just about as lucrative as going into a raid every week, and you're still using the same tokens for Mythic Plus as you are with that was fantastic to watch.
F.
But you're still using the same tokens for Mythic Plus as you are for rating, and that just begs the question: is the system going to be more towards the weekly chests that you get from Mythic Plus? Are they going to start rewarding multiple pieces of gear for that, or is it going to be something are we going to know exactly what we're getting week to week from completing a content like this?
Right, and that's the thing. I mean, we don't know the way it's going to be. So, I mean, this is pretty much just speculation at this point. But I think if there isn't some other kind of system in place to fill the gaps between RNG drops and bonus rolls and that kind of thing, then there should be, I think Valor Points should come back. Because it should be, it's everything where if you do your raid weekly and you clear whatever mode it is and you progress a little bit in the other one, say you just get unlucky, you don't get anything.
Mm-hmm.
But in getting nothing, you get some Valor Points and you can go to the vendor and buy something, whatever slot. And eventually, even if you get literally no gear drops, you'll have a backup system to go and get and just purchase something with Valor Points. I like that system, and I liked it back in, I liked it in Cataclysm. I liked it in WoD when it was in a little bit, even though it was just item upgrades.
Right.
Which that could be a thing as well if they bring back item upgrades. That was a little bit messier. But it's something. It's something. If you don't get any loot, you get some Valor Points, you can go and upgrade your loot that you do have. It's something. So I think it would be a good compliment to have a Valor Point system.
I think it's interesting.
Kind of token system.
It's interesting that you bring up the upgrade system, because I think that there is there's something that was never brought up, at least not that I heard, whenever item upgrade stuff was that was how you had your bad luck protection,
right,
with Valor Points and everything, but something that they could have done to further get the idea of this is something that's meant for bad luck protection only, and not something that's meant to be to be necessary for every piece of loot that you get forever, is make it to where items have a hard item level cap. There is just a straight up hard item level cap. You can get to it, and how this would look practically would be that you would have you'd have items like Titan Forged and Warforged gear that drops wouldn't be eligible to upgrade. Through item upgrades, you could make it be like whatever the Titan Forge item level is at that time. Mm-hmm. Make that be what you can upgrade each piece to, so that eventually all your pieces would be kind of Titan Forged through upgrade systems. And a Titan Forge just makes it drop with 2 out of 2 upgrades, or whatever it is. Right. And a Warforged would be 1 out of 2 upgrades. But right. I mean, and that too would get a little messy, because there is still the distinct item level drops out of out of all that. So it would be something where it's if you go into LFR and you get a Titan Forged piece, you still can't upgrade it. But if you got a normal, not Titan or Warforged, which I don't know if they're gonna have Titan Forged. I know Warforged is going forward, but I don't know if they're gonna have Titan Forging.
I don't know if there's 2 levels of it. I think it's just it either is or isn't. Right,
and that's fantastic. But that just goes to say why not just have a system where if you get a piece of gear and it's Warforged, it doesn't it's ineligible to be upgraded, or if it is a particular item all mythic level gear, don't allow it to be Titan Forged, specifically out of raids. Dungeon gear is something completely different, and I don't think you should be able to upgrade dungeon gear, but if you do get a piece of raid gear one week and the next week you don't get something, you can take the Valor Points you get instead and upgrade that piece of gear, unless it was Titan Forged. because ideally you would be filling out your item level through other means, like going to run a specific dungeon to get a specific piece of loot. We need to switch sides here, but you'd be going into specific dungeons looking for specific pieces of loot and getting that loot to fill out your item level in the places that you really need it the most, and then on top of that, like the pieces that you're getting from raiding you shouldn't be punished for getting unlucky with loot is the crux of this whole thing. Whether it doesn't matter what system they implement to it.
Yeah, some kind of something, so that if you do get super unlucky, you can still get something to go and upgrade a piece of loot or purchase a piece of loot or something. Just something in place, so just in case all of your coin flips fail, you don't get any personal loot, you don't do anything. Something is the fallback system. I would love to see Valid Points or something back.
Me too. I agree. But anyway, that's going to be it for the episode. If you want to get in touch with me, you can find me on Twitter at prosperity_42. And if you would like to get in touch with Whoop, you can get in touch with him on Twitter at dark.com. It's just all spelled out one word, just like, you see it on screen now.
That's it.
But also, if you'd like to support the show, you can drop by our Patreon page, patreon.com/prosperity42. You can also, if you have any questions and don't use Twitter, you can also email the show, prosperity42gaming@gmail.com. That's something new. But anyway, that's going to be it. Thank you for watching, but our feet and our jaws are tired. We'll see you next week when we walk and talk a little bit more.